Before we actually talk about the commands that exist on the Catalyst LAN switches, we need to qualify the two operating systems that you may come across when you're dealing with switches in your environment. One thing to realize is that Cisco went through an acquisition period where they acquired the company known as Catalyst. Well, Cisco previously had only a few switches of their own, and they had designed them themselves. Well, those switches were the ones that ran iOS just like a router. When Cisco acquired the Catalyst company, they continued to use their operating system on some of those switch products. Most of those products are either rarely being used or have been migrated to true iOS today. iOS is going to cover all of the current switch products, including several that are now at the end of life or end of sale. These include the 1900 and 2800 series, the 2900 XL, and the 2950 series, both of which are still being sold, and the 3500 XL and the 3550, which are current products. We also see that the 4500 and 6500 switches have actually been migrated from the original Catalyst operating system now to true iOS. Switches that are running iOS are configured in the same way as your Cisco router. In fact, most of the commands that you will use on the router are going to be valid on the switch. Of course, the switch does not route by default at layer 2, so in some cases we'll be dealing with the router commands, such as on the switches that are non-layer 3 switches. But for the most part, your iOS knowledge is going to be used in both situations. Now, the other thing that you need to realize here is that there may still be an occurrence of CatOS, or the Catalyst operating system switches that you might come across, like the 2900G, the original 4000, the 5000 and 6000 series switches that still natively run the Catalyst OS. These switches are best identified through their set and clear interface, as the commands will always be based on the set command or a clear command. Most of the newer switches that previously ran the Catalyst OS can now be upgraded to either an integrated or hybrid iOS, which does expose the iOS command set. Most likely, any product you purchase from Cisco today is going to use some form of the iOS platform. At this stage, all we need to know for CCNA certification is the standard iOS. So that is what we're going to focus on at this point. We're going to perform a basic switch configuration on our Catalyst switch, which is going to yield pretty much the same result as the basic configuration on the router.